Now, the EFF has been relegated to the 4th position after the May polls. The party also recently found itself in the news with critics saying it has benefited from the looting of VBS Bank. SABC senior news reporter Samkele Maseko is with the EFF leader Julius Malema at the party's headquarters in Johannesburg. Good afternoon to you, Samkele. I would imagine a lot of reflection by the EFF.
Indeed, Unati, there will be a lot of reflection by the economic freedom fighters this weekend when they celebrate their 11th anniversary since the formation of this movement that was formed in July. Essentially, the leader of the EFF, Julius Malema, will look back at what they've done over a period of 10 years and ultimately these past elections that saw them being somewhat put on the back foot politically by the MK party, but you never know. They seemingly leading the MK party in the National Assembly and the various provincial legislatures. Mr. Malema, very interesting results come these past elections. You are now the 4th biggest party. That particular punch there by the MK, nobody anticipated it.
Well, not necessarily from MK. There was a lot of money invested in stopping the EFF. The campaign was Stop the EFF. So many millions paid to different parties, including the DA, with the sole purpose of stopping the EFF. So we survived a big tsunami, which we should not have survived. And where we are in a much more better position because our ground forces fought a good fight. I mean, you had parties saying EFF is enemy number 1. You had parties issuing official SMSs that don't vote for EFF. How do you have the ruling party and all oppositions combined against one opposition party? So that allowed then a passage for MK to pass because they were not concentrating on that side. Everybody was concentrating on us. So under the circumstances, we did very well and we came back very strong. I had said when we elected Ramaphosa, my first speech to that parliament was, we're no longer going to fight with bouncers. We're no longer going to be pushing people around. We're going to be an effective opposition. We're going to be robust. And that's exactly what we did since that parliament opened.
How do you become this robust opposition in parliament when you've got the MK party, relatively new members of parliament? Some of them have never been there before. Some were professionals like Dr. Mandla Sehlophe. You look at Sibonelo Nomvalo as well, who's an MP, and many others within the MK party. Yet they've got others who've come back like Andile Mqitama. How do you unite this particular progressive caucus?
Well, we have agreed to work together and we have agreed to have a joint caucus every week or on Thursdays. They are well-experienced people in MK. There is Des Van Rooyen, there is Sipho Mbata, there is Andile Mqitama, and many others. So, understandably so, they are still going to have to learn a lot of things. I mean, we all started there, but so far so good. Once position agreed to by the Progressive Caucus, it gets well articulated by all members of the Progressive Caucus. And we're working with colleagues, especially those who are new, who are more than willing to learn, who are cooperative and always also call upon us if there are issues where they don't have a clear clarity. So we hit the ground running and we did very well. The first thing we had to fight was to remove the DA because the DA was still saying it's an official opposition party. How can you be government and still be an opposition party? We went to amend the rules and then made MK the official opposition party, which some people don't like. And then we're there. We're advocating for almost the same positions. There are no serious differences on policy perspective when it comes to the Progressive Caucus, unlike the other side where there's fundamental policy differences. I mean, if you take ATM and EFF, there are irritations about open borders and foreigners, matters that over a period of time we will be able to persuade one another, but those are not matters that can make us not work with them.
Is the MK party a threat to the existence of the EFF, particularly when you look at a province like KwaZulu-Natal. I was there on election day. I spoke to your SG and some of your leaders on numerous occasions. They were asking, do we have party agents on the ground? But when you look at the final voter tally, over 1.3 million votes went to the MK party. The EFF dropped from the 350,000 votes you got in 2019. Are they posing an existential crisis to you in the province of KwaZulu-Natal?
Well, it is not a crisis. It's a political contestation. They are a force to be reckoned with. We might have underestimated their potential, but now we are aware. And there will be a lot of intervention that will be made in KZN to be alive to the reality that occurred on the 29th of May. The fighters put up a fight in KZN, and most of the people that we received in 2019 were actually the supporters of President Zuma, who didn't want Ramaphosa, and they didn't have a political home. And then they came to the EFF, and when President Zuma came with an alternative, then they shifted back to President Zuma. It is not a lost ground. It's a ground that when we work it, we must work it with that understanding that there is serious political contestation. It's not an issue that is not doable. It's doable. We can turn the corner because if you look at the IFP, it increased its votes. So why would the IFP increase votes and we don't increase votes? It means we lapsed, and therefore we had agreed that at an appropriate time from Kimberley, we should have an engagement on how we're going to move forward in KZN.
What are some of the interventions you're going to make in KwaZulu-Natal? I see you've now deployed Mbuyiseni Ndlozi as a CCT deployee in that particular province. What are some of the other measures you're looking into? Well,
we are looking at all possibilities, which I don't want to preempt. I know you are asking me, are you going to dissolve them? It's one of the options we have. And dissolve them and then replace them with who did what, or is this the best you have? It's just that we were unable to read the prevailing material condition on the ground, and if the blame is on all of us, we ought to take that responsibility ourselves and go and build. So we taken Mbuyiseni Ndlozi there and many other commissars to go and reinforce the kind of intervention we will make, and we'll turn the corner. I can tell you.
These past 11 years since the formation of this July movement, what have been the highs and the lows, particularly noting some of the perceived scandals that are there? VBS, your history within the province of Limpopo. You've got an NPA coming up in December, the Third National People's Assembly. What are some of the highs and lows within these 11 years?
Well, the highs are that we have built a formidable organization that has revived the interest of black people in politics, especially young people, that has brought the confidence of the black working class and professionals who are today in a position to stand up to racists, and who are today loosely can just threaten a white racist with just mentioning EFF, it's enough. Brought the land question into family, into the politics of South Africa. We brought the issue of insourcing the workers. We brought the issue of scrapping the fees for the students and introducing free education. We held the leadership of this country accountable, which is what the opposition must do. We started with President Zuma. We are now on President Ramaphosa, who must account for Phala Phala. Those are our highs, where we have always played a role in defense of the working class. The lows are the 29 May results. That is the only thing. VBS has never been our law. The scandals in Limpopo have never been my law. You know, Samkele, people say to you, VBS, but they are sitting next to a mayor who deposited money into VBS. They say, we can't work with the EFF, it's corrupt. But they work with the ANC that has got a minister who's charged, that has got a speaker who's charged, that has got mayors and provincial leaders who deposited money into VBS. Stan Matavata was the ANC chairperson when VBS looting was taking place. What happened? He got a promotion. He's a deputy minister of land. Yet people say they can't work with people who work with VBS. When you talk about my history in Limpopo, I've got no history of anything. They wanted to use the courts to silence me, and I defeated them. But the people who were responsible for that government are ministers on the side. So I was never a minister, I was never responsible for any government. Castle Matado was the premier, said deputy minister of police. Pingi Kekana was MEC of transport, where they say on point did things. She's a deputy minister in the presidency. So it's not being genuine. So VBS to us is a swear word. When they want to swear at us, they say VBS. So they don't mean it. They don't genuinely mean it. You sit with Zweli Mkhize that side. You've got Jacob Mama, Zweli Mkhize, who asked for 2 million, were told by that sponsored affidavit. 5 million of Communist Party that was asked by Jacob Mama Wool. The guy says in his own sponsored affidavit, I offered to donate to the EFF. He doesn't say the EFF came to ask me for money. So since when a person donating to the EFF being a crime? Then he says in the same paragraph, they knew when I donate 5 million, they know it's a bribe. How can I know that when you say donation is a bribe when we meet for the first time? I don't know your language. He doesn't claim to have met me before. He says the same day he met me. That's the same day he says he's going to make a donation, and I understood that to be meaning a bribe. How do I understand that to be meaning a bribe? There was a condition, according to him. Open a VBS account, therefore you'll get the money. We never opened a VBS account. EFF does not have a VBS account. EFF has never received a VBS money. Samkele, Sunday Times said, I bought my house in Polokwane with VBS money. Till to date, there's nothing that has ever been produced.
How did you buy your house in Polokwane?
I bought it through the bank.
But you once said you don't own a property, you own nothing.
No, that's what I'm saying. When I was about to buy a house, I didn't have a property. But my house in Polokwane was bought through the normal processes, like any other property that I have. They were properly financed by financial institutions. So those are my family properties. So when they said you bought your property in Polokwane with VBS money and wrote a front page, till to date, there's nothing to show you that stories get, they fabricate stories as they go. So today, I'm sitting with you here with a clear conscience. Nothing threatens me about the VBS. By the way, I was reported to Parliament by DA and them, and Ethics Committee investigated me and cleared me. So that's what I'm saying. It's a swear word, and therefore it can be the low point for the EFF and all of that. Yeah.
Moving on to governance, you gained governance in Gauteng, Johannesburg, and Ekurhuleni. Kululeko Dunga became your MMC of Finance. Scandals came out within that particular metro, some not yet proven, yet to be tested illegally in a court of law. What's your agreement with the ANC in Gauteng?
Well, there's no scandal against Kululeko Dunga. They removed him. There's not even one scandal that you can't say it has to be proven in court. There's no single scandal. They removed him because they wanted to get the purse themselves and then replaced him with a Jongezizo. So it was a highly opportunistic way of grabbing that matter. And then what happens? I engaged the mayor of Ekurhuleni, doctor. And then he said to me, they want to put items in the budget, and Dunga is not agreeing to put those items in the budget, and the working relations have become difficult. I said to Dunga, You have not won elections. That's not an EFF municipality. You always seek consensus with other parties. No problem. Dunga said, there's nothing like that. We don't disagree on anything. He removes Dunga. 2 days after removing Dunga, he goes and read the budget. That budget is the same budget that was written by Dunga. Didn't include anything new which he said he wanted to include. He read everything, word for word, until the last full stop. So that's a man who is not honest with the people of South Africa. We have been working with the ANC, but Mbalula has been sponsoring ANC regions where we're working with them. And majority of them have refused. The temptation is to agree to that nonsense is in Ikuruleni, where he said when we're doing the negotiations, he said to them, you must write letters that where we are governing with the EFF, the municipalities are not stable. There is instability. Those regions refused and said, no, but that's not true. Instability where? There is no instability in Nelson Mandela. There is no instability in Ekurhuleni. There is no instability in Johannesburg. There might be challenges, yes, but we are working. And we are working to the benefit of our people. So, Mbalula hates us so much. I've lived my daily lives with Mbalula on daily basis, to a point where we used to say to each other, we'll be buried next to each other's grave. I know when he hates a person, because he used to hate Malusi Gigaba with the same passion he hates us now. So when you ask him about us, I see how he changes his face and expresses himself. And I'm like, what have we done to earn this kind of hatred from this guy?
But why would he hate you when he left from your house when you won the conference in 2022?
Absolutely. You ask that again. We were seeing each other all the time until the last day he went to the conference where he got elected as Secretary General. And we have not done anything to him, politically or otherwise. We just disagree with him, and which is something we always did, by the way, even when we were living together. But there was never an animosity. There was never that spirit of hatred. We have earned that in him now.
Then why do
we have to accept.
Then why do you continue working with the ANC in Gauteng? Is it because of Panyaza Lusufi that you have got some sort of agreement with him and TK and also Lebogang Maile, your friend?
No. We are working with the ANC everywhere else where they want to work with us. If he don't want to work with us, there's nothing we can do. He says, Mbalula now has sponsored a motion that we must be removed everywhere else where the ANC governs with the EFF. Our MMCs and our speakers and all of that are more than ready for that. Actually, I had a view that they must resign. And the leadership of the EFF, with their wisdom, which I appreciate now, they said, no, they must not resign. By resigning, we make their job easy. They must fire them.
In the reconstitution of these metros, I'm told through the grapevine we are going to be offered one MMC position in the city of Joburg. Today, there was supposed to be a reshuffle in Ekurhuleni. You are going to be offered one position of MMC. Take it or leave it. Will you take those one MMC positions that they will be offered to you?
No, we can't. They can give to their fathers those positions. We can't. For what? We have not done anything wrong. And then you just come, even unprovoked, you just go and say, no, we're reducing you. If we do that, it means we are disparate for positions. There's no longer a principle in that.
Then how will you continue saving the province of the ANC led by Panyaza Lesufi if you are offered these one positions in metros and you decline them? Do you continue working with them?
No, we will decline the positions in the metros. It doesn't mean we're fighting with the ANC. When the ANC comes on issues that we agree with, we'll definitely support them. The same thing in the province. When the ANC comes with the budget, if it's a pro-poor budget, we'll support them. If it's not a pro-poor budget, we'll disagree with that kind of a budget. not because of Panyaza or TK or Lewa, because they are now wanting to make them the enemies because they say they've got a working relationship with the ANC in Gauteng. We have no any kind of relationship with the ANC, none whatsoever. So the ANC is more than free to do whatever they want to do, and then we'll play our role as the effective opposition in those opposition benches.
Who do you come back with in the NPA in December? Do you come back with the entire collective as is at this point in time, the top 6, or you make some changes? I see there's contestation between Mbuyiseni and Marshall Dlamini for SG.
I've not heard anything of that sort. Conference, when it elects leadership, it takes into account 2 principles, continuity and change. And it will be up to conference to change. But I don't see why would Mbuyiseni and SG contest each other. If people have a problem with the SG, you don't character assassinate him, you don't vulgarize him, you don't disrespect him. Come and tell us, this is the problem with the SG. And if we agree, we'll agree. If we don't agree, we'll disagree. And if we agree, we'll go and engage him. The SG say, these are the issues that the comrades are raising. So, like I'm saying, whether you have Mbuyiseni or you have Marshall, you've got your best. And if there's going to be such a contestation, it will be amongst the best of the EFF. But I don't see it happening, Shem. I don't know, you know conferences, but I don't see any kind of contest happening. So we will come back with whoever the conference gives us.
But some say you're the one propping up the campaign of Mbuyiseni Ndlozi.
I will never do that. I will never lead a campaign. I don't lead a campaign. I'm not a lobbyist. I am a leader of the EFF. So if there are people who are leading the campaign, they will be outside me because I must still lead all of these people. So I don't get involved in who becomes what. But you seek my wisdom, you know where to find me. Anyone, any of them can come to me and I will give them. The problem is that I will not go to them to say, hey, don't do this, don't do that. No. If they want to talk to me, because if I go to them, they will say I'm imposing. If they want to talk to me, they must come. And I will give them off camera my honest view on what I think needs to happen. Because if you speak, people say you are a dictator that goes to conference, a Dalai Lama that goes to conference. All of these people that you are praising, all of them, who came after the EFF, no one knows their head office, no one knows their secretary general, no one knows when are they going to the conference, but they are never called Dalai Lamas and dictators. For the first time I knew people can be summarily expelled, it was when Mashaba expelled those people of Soweto. Till to date, Mashaba has never gone to the conference. It's not called the dictator. It's not called the Dalai Lama. Me, who goes to conference and stand. Remember, you get removed from that seat on top there. You go and sit with your delegates. And then you must still be asked, are you available? I subject myself to that.
Are you available?
Hey, yes, I'm available. Absolutely available. Anyone who comes to me, coming to ask me that question, they must know answer is yes. I will wait for them to come. So, but all I'm saying is that I always subject myself to the democratic scrutiny of EFF structures. And that democracy has worked for the EFF. As we go to celebrate 11 years of the EFF, what kept it alive is its democratic centralism and the ability to sustain the democratic practices in the organization.
In 30 seconds, what's the message for Kimberley this weekend on Saturday?
The message in Kimberley is that the fighters must remain focused. They must not be shaken. The battle for economic freedom starts now, because those who think we are weak, they must see us emerging victorious. Ka Sepedi ba re o tšhatšhela morago so tšhaba go gain a matla. We are coming for these people.
Are you going to Orania to visit those fighters who were campaigning for EFF?
So Orania is a bit far out of Kimberley. But if we take over government, we are going to build RDP houses in Orania. That is how we are going to de-racialize that place.
Thank you very much to the leader of the Economic Freedom Fighters, Mushabi, basically saying their weakest point was the 29th of May. They did not anticipate those particular votes that came out for the MK party, saying there will be interventions in the province of KwaZulu-Natal, and he is available for re-election for a third term as the president of the Economic Freedom Fighters in December at their NPA. I've seen some posts, Mbuyiseni for SG, Marshall Dlamini contestation. You see the provincial secretary in KwaZulu-Natal defending his SG, Marshall Dlamini. Mushabi is quiet. We shall see in December.